Okay, this is the Airbrake test. The purpose of this test is to make sure that safety devices are in working conditions, that if the air brake system goes from normal pressure to low pressure, that the emergency brake is working. If you go from normal pressure to low pressure with the air brake system, the emergency brake will pop, causing an abrupt, uncontrolled stop. I'm going to perform a safe start. My seatbelt is on. My foot is covering the service brake. The vehicle is in neutral. The parking brake is engaged. The ABS light has come on and turned off. I see that my pressure gauge is working. My primary and secondary needles are rising. The primary needle is the green needle, secondary is the orange-red needle. I'm going to begin with the air governor cutout test and gauge inspection. I see that my pressure gauge is working. Air governor cutout must occur between 120 and 140 psi. I'm going to turn my fast idle on. Air governor cutout has occurred. I know this because my needles have stopped moving. My primary and secondary needles have stopped moving. Air governor cutout has occurred at 125 psi. This is a good test. I will now turn off the vehicle. I will now turn the accessories on. I will now go into the air leakage rate test. I'm going to release the parking brake and engage the service brake. I'm going to wait for my needles to stabilize. My needles have stabilized at, my primary needle is pointing at 111 psi. During this 1 minute test, I can lose no more than 3 psi for a single vehicle, which this is, or no more than 4 psi for a trailer vehicle, but this is a single vehicle, so no more than 3 psi in 1 minute. I've pressed the service brake, my needles have stabilized, my minute begins now. It has now been 1 minute. I have lost 0 psi. My primary needle is pointing at 111 psi. This is a good test. I will now perform the low air warning device test. With this particular vehicle, the low air warning buzzer will not activate until the motor is on. I'm going to now rapidly fan the brakes until the low air indicator light comes on. It must come on no lower than 55 psi. indicator light has come on. Right there. My needle is pointing at 77 psi. The primary needle is pointing at 77 psi, which is above the 55 psi. It can be no lower than 55 psi. This is a good test. I will now go into the emergency brake pop-out test. Emergency brake pop-out must occur between 20 and 45 psi. On this particular vehicle, pop-out is designed by the manufacturer to occur between 45 and 60 psi. I will now begin fanning the brakes until pop-out occurs. Pop-out has occurred. At 50 psi, my primary needle is pointing at 50 psi. This is a good test. I will now start the vehicle. That alarm you hear is a low air warning device, low air warning buzzer. Low air indicator light is on. This is a good test. I will now build air pressure. Once my air governor cutout occurs, I will go into the parking brake test. Air governor cutout has occurred. The vehicle is neutral. Parking brake is on. I'll now put the vehicle into drive. I will now hit the gas pedal to prove that the parking brake holds. You can hear the engine rev up. Parking brake has held. This is a good test. I'll now put the vehicle into neutral. I would then go into the service brake test. I would put the vehicle into drive, release the parking brake, pull forward no faster than 5 miles per hour. I would apply the service brake until the vehicle has come to a complete stop, and I would state that the vehicle has not pulled to the left or to the right. The vehicle has come to a complete stop. This is a good test. Service brakes are functioning properly. This is a good test, and that would conclude the air brake tests.